I used to believe that long-lasting friendships could protect themselves from cracks. Harper had been my closest friend for more than 10 years. Someone who knew things I didn't dare tell anyone else. Someone I thought would walk with me through every phase of life. But the truth is simpler and harsher. People change. And sometimes that change no longer includes you. My name is Emily Andrews. I'm living in San Diego. I met Harper Lane at 18, in a humid dorm hallway in Tucson. She knocked on my door by accident, asked for directions, then sat down and talked for 3 hours like we were old friends rediscovering each other. Harper was all brightness and ease. I was quiet, structured, measured. Somehow the contrast fit perfectly. We grew through our 20s together. Late-night study sessions, pointless road trips, short-lived relationships, shared takeout, shared heartbreak. After graduation, we moved to different states, but our friendship never loosened. We FaceTimed weekly, visited each other every holiday, exchanged gifts on time, remembered every milestone. Harper knew every major turn in my life, including when I met Noah Bennett, the man who would become my husband. Noah is steady, thoughtful, and quiet in a way that feels safe rather than distant. He notices the small things, what calms me, what overwhelms me, what I avoid saying out loud. Our love was calm, measured, and the most stable thing I'd ever known. We married a year after meeting. Harper flew from New York to stand beside me as a bridesmaid, cried harder than my mother during my vows, and held my veil when it got caught on the carpet. I thought our friendship was bulletproof, but marriage comes with its own storms. After the wedding, Noah and I started trying for a baby. 1 year passed, then 2, then 3. Each negative pregnancy test felt like a personal failure, like my body was betraying me in slow motion. Noah never blamed me. He always held me, reassured me, told me we were enough. But I knew he wanted a family. I wanted one too. And only a few people knew how deeply this hurt. Harper was one of them. Then Harper met Mark Sullivan, a warm, grounded guy who adored her. She softened around him in a way I had never seen. Within a year, he proposed. Harper called me at midnight, shaking with joy, laughing and crying all at once. I was genuinely happy for her. She planned a large, elegant engagement party at a downtown venue. Nothing flashy, but intentional and polished. Harper asked me to be her maid of honor and handed me nearly every responsibility: decor choices, timeline, vendor coordination, seating plan, communication with the event staff. She said only I understood exactly what she wanted. I took that as a sign of trust. A month before the party, Harper messaged me near midnight with a photo of a positive pregnancy test. I screamed into my pillow, sent her a flood of excited texts, and called her right away. She told me Mark was thrilled beyond words. I believed everything in her life was finally lining up. But after that night, something unspoken shifted. Not clearly, not directly, just enough for me to feel it. Harper started asking questions that landed like needles in soft places. Do you think Noah finds women like me attractive? Would you be upset if I had a baby before you? Do you think men get tempted when their wives are stressed about fertility? I laughed it off, told her she was overthinking. But her questions always hit the exact weak spot: my infertility, my fear, my vulnerability. I assumed it was hormones or stress or insecurity. I didn't want to suspect her of anything darker. If I did, I wasn't sure what would be left of us. A week before the party, Harper called and whispered, "Emily, will you stay close to me that night? Everything feels so big. I'm scared of being alone." I didn't hesitate. "I'll be right there." And I believed it. Believed I was walking into a night meant to celebrate her joy. Didn't know Harper was walking into a night designed to destroy everything that belonged to me. The venue looked impossibly polished that night. Warm lights cascading overhead, champagne lined neatly along the bar, soft music floating just above the sound of guests settling in. Everything was exactly how Harper wanted. Elegant, controlled, curated. I moved through the room with my clipboard, double-checking details even though the event planner assured me everything was perfect. I wasn't doing it for her approval. I was doing it because I needed something predictable to hold on to. Noah stood across the room talking with a coworker he had invited. Every few minutes, he glanced over to check on me. Each time I gave him a small nod to let him know I was fine. It was supposed to be a simple night. Harper's night. Nothing more. When Harper finally stepped out from backstage, she looked stunning. Soft curls, a white dress that emphasized her growing belly, and a glow that should have meant joy. Mark walked beside her, solid and steady. Guests applauded lightly as the couple approached the center of the room. But when Harper's gaze brushed mine, something inside me tightened. There was something behind her smile, sharp, deliberate, almost rehearsed. The music dimmed. The room stilled. Harper lifted the microphone, her voice smooth and steady. Thank you all for being here. Having the people we love in one place, it means everything to us. Mark squeezed her hand, adoring her without question. I watched them from only a few feet away, unaware that we were seconds from impact. Harper took a slow breath. Too slow. Before we continue, there's something I need to share. Conversations died instantly. A few people leaned forward. Mark turned toward her, confused. Harper's hand rested on her belly. This baby isn't Mark's. The words dropped into the room like a detonator. Someone gasped. A glass hit the floor. Mark's face drained of color. But Harper kept going, tears already gathering in her eyes with eerie precision. The father is someone else, she whispered. Then she looked straight at me, before turning her head just slightly to the left. Toward Noah. The father is Noah Bennett. I didn't feel my heartbeat. I didn't feel my legs. I felt nothing but a cold, expanding clarity, like my mind stepped outside my body to observe the scene from above. Noah's shock wasn't loud, it was silent, paralyzing. His eyes widened, his lips parted, but no sound came out. He looked at me first, terrified I might believe her, then at Harper as if searching for any sign this was a twisted joke. There has to be some mistake, Mark stammered, his voice cracking. Harper sobbed harder, shoulders shaking, mascara smudging down her cheeks. But even through the tears, I saw it. She wasn't unraveling. She was performing. The room turned into a whispering hive. Noah? Did you know? Oh my God. Every pair of eyes swung between the three of us as if waiting for someone to confess. Noah finally found his voice. Emily, no, I've never been alone with her. I swear to you. His voice shook, not with guilt, but with fear. Fear I might abandon him right there in front of everyone. Fear Harper had counted on. I stepped forward. Not toward Noah, not toward Mark, toward Harper. She flinched. I kept my voice level. Harper, show us proof. The room froze again. Harper blinked rapidly, caught off guard. She hadn't planned for questions, just the chaos. I don't have it with me, she whispered. Do you have messages? No. Photos? No. Have you ever been alone with Noah? Emily, please answer the question. Her silence was the answer. A murmur rippled through the room. People weren't confused anymore. They were starting to understand. The timeline didn't make sense. The story didn't hold. Harper's tears no longer looked tragic, just calculated. I turned toward the guests, keeping my voice steady. Harper has no messages, no photos, no meetings alone, nothing. Harper's crying intensified, but it was too late. Mark stared at her like he was seeing a stranger. Noah stood frozen, terrified and exhausted at the same time. And all I could think was how carefully Harper had chosen this moment. This crowd, this stage, this exact lighting, to break me open in the most humiliating way possible. But instead of breaking, I just stood there. Cold. Clear. Completely beyond her reach. And in that clarity, I saw everything. Her fear, her insecurity, her desperation to be seen, even if it meant burning my life and hers in the process. This wasn't a confession. It was a performance. And she had just lost control of her own script. I don't know how long I stood there without speaking. It wasn't shock, not the kind that makes you collapse. It was a colder, sharper version of it. My mind locked every emotion in a drawer and switched to analysis. Harper was crying. Mark was breaking. Noah looked like someone had ripped the ground out from under him. And somewhere in the mess, every guest was silently choosing who they believed. My reaction would define everything that came next. And I refused to let Harper write a single line more of this narrative. I stepped toward her, slow, steady, every movement controlled. I felt Noah behind me whispering, Emily. Wait, but I raised a hand slightly. It wasn't to shut him out. I just needed to protect the clarity that had taken over. I stopped in front of Harper. Her crying sharpened as if she expected me to crumble, scream, or beg for answers. I didn't. I simply said, loud enough for every person in the room, "Harper, show us proof." Her expression faltered. She hadn't prepared for that. She expected chaos, not calm dissection. I didn't bring anything, she whispered. Do you have texts? No. Photos? She hesitated. No. Any records at all? Silence. Have you ever been alone with Noah? Even once? The question sliced through the room like glass. Harper stared at me, lips trembling, unable to answer. Her silence confirmed everything. I turned to the guests, voice steady, emotionless. So to be clear, there are no messages, no photos, no meetings alone, nothing. A thick, uncomfortable murmur spread through the room. Someone whispered, "She doesn't have anything." Another shook their head. The spell Harper hoped to cast was cracking, and she felt it. Her crying shifted from performative to panicked. "Emily, please," she choked. I just know. Mark hasn't been the same. I felt, I repeated. Not facts. Harper flinched as if the word itself slapped her. I could see the moment she realized her story wasn't just collapsing, it was turning against her. I faced Noah next. Do you have anything to say? He shook his head, eyes red. Not with guilt, but desperation. I've never been alone with her, not once. Emily, I swear to you. I nodded once, slowly, firmly. Not because I was unsure, but to make it visible to everyone. I believed him, fully, immediately, without hesitation. Then I looked at Harper, the girl who once shared dorm rooms, secrets, holidays, and years of my life. You're not telling the truth, I said quietly. You're terrified, insecure, overwhelmed, and you decided to drag someone else into your fear instead of facing it. Her face crumpled, but I kept going. You wanted attention. You wanted reassurance? You wanted chaos to distract from the fact that you're scared about your future with Mark. But you didn't think about who you would destroy in the process. Harper's breathing became frantic, as if she couldn't inhale enough air to keep the lie alive. I ended it simply. After tonight, you're not my friend. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. The guests, all 70 of them, stood in stunned silence. I walked back to Noah, who looked as if he'd been holding his breath for minutes. He reached for me, terrified, but I squeezed his hand and said 2 words. Let's go. No one stopped us. No one asked us to stay. They just watched us leave, watched Harper's story dissolve under the weight of its own emptiness. When the door closed behind us, I finally exhaled. No tears, no shaking. Just a cold, clean calm, the kind that comes when truth stands on its own and the lies collapse without your help. And from that moment on, I knew I owed Harper nothing. We left the venue without speaking. Not because we were avoiding each other, because we both needed the silence. When the car door closed, Noah sat still for a long moment, hands trembling just slightly. He wasn't afraid of being caught. He was afraid of losing me. I looked at him and said the only thing he needed to hear. I believe you. His shoulders dropped, a slow exhale shaking out of him. But I wasn't ready for comfort yet. I needed clarity. Clean endings. Clean truth. The next morning, I texted Mark. Not to interfere with his decisions, but because he deserved the truth as much as I did. He agreed to meet at a quiet coffee shop in North Park. When he walked in, he looked exhausted, like he hadn't slept once since the party. He slid his phone across the table. She sent these all night. I scrolled through message after message, pages of apologies, frantic justifications, emotional spirals. She blamed stress, hormones, fear, loneliness. She accused Mark of being distant, herself of being unlovable, life of being unfair. But not once did she mention Noah, no affair, no contact, no hidden timeline. The story she told at the party existed nowhere except inside whatever panic pushed her over the edge. Mark's voice cracked. Emily, I don't understand why she did this. I do, I said quietly. She was drowning in insecurity and wanted a lifeline, even if it meant pulling someone else under. He nodded slowly. I called off the engagement. I can't trust her anymore. It didn't surprise me. Harper hadn't just sabotaged me, she'd blown up her own future. I thanked Mark for meeting us, not because I needed him on my side, but because it mattered that someone else saw the truth clearly. That afternoon, Harper called. I let it ring. She texted frantically, apologizing, pleading, blaming her hormones, blaming Mark, blaming fear. The messages shifted from sorrow to anger to desperation. You don't understand how much pressure I'm under. I didn't mean to hurt you. You're overreacting. Please don't abandon me, I replied once. Take responsibility for what you did. Hours later, Noah told me she called him too. He didn't answer. And when her calls didn't stop, he blocked her. Not out of anger, out of necessity, a few days passed. Then Harper's mother called me, voice trembling, asking if I knew what happened. I told her only the truth, nothing embellished, nothing cruel. She needs help, I said. Real help. Her mother thanked me softly and hung up. Noah and I went to therapy, not because of trust issues, but because we wanted to make sure the shock didn't leave invisible bruises. We talked about fear, about pressure, about the way Harper used our weakest spot as ammunition. Noah apologized repeatedly, as if merely being accused made him responsible. I told him to stop. He hadn't betrayed me. Someone else had. One night on our porch, I asked him, "Do you think things would have been different if I'd screamed? Or cried, or fallen apart?" He shook his head. No, you did the right thing. You made the truth louder than her lie. And for the first time, I let myself feel proud of that. 2 weeks later, Mark texted me to say Harper admitted everything to her family, that she'd made it up out of fear that Mark didn't love her anymore. Fear that she'd be abandoned. Fear that her life wasn't unfolding the way she imagined. None of those reasons changed the truth. None of them rebuilt what she destroyed. And none of them were mine to fix. I replied simply, "Thank you for telling me." Then I deleted the thread. Harper's story ended in the echo of her own choices. Mine didn't. Noah and I kept going, steady, honest, intact. And the most satisfying part wasn't revenge. It was this quiet certainty. Sometimes silence isn't weakness. Sometimes silence is the moment when truth stands, and the lies fall apart on their own.